Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Broker Talk. I'm Larry Lawfer, your host, and this half hour, Broker Talk brings you the secrets of low cost and no cost marketing from our friend from down under. Darrell Weeks of the Purple Thread joins us again here to share not only his insight and information, but to help us understand how to use LinkedIn to find your sphere and build your career. Before I bring in Darrell, let me bring in my constant companion here, Jim Lowenstern, CEO of Castles Unlimited International. Hey, what's hanging, Jim?
So many things just sounded so wrong. Constant companion? What? Oh,
Well,
that.
except for
I'm doing fine though, Larry.
oh, well, that's good.
Thanks for the awesome and
Absurd
usually
opening.
strange introduction.
Thank you. But Darrell has been on our show one other time. You can find that in our history
Um,
back. Darrell is the ambassador for small business and has really mastered several of the ways to build your business through LinkedIn. Welcome aboard, Jim. Or Darrell.
Sorry, Larry, I've lost your sound there. I can hear Jim, but I can't hear you
I'm not loud
at all.
enough. If you
No,
wait,
I can't. Your microphone dropped down. I can't hear you.
well, if I talk like this, no.
No, I can't.
No,
I
you
can't
can
hear you,
hear him. You
Larry.
just have to. You have to turn the volume up. He's not saying anything. He's just
You
No,
know,
my
I
volume's fine. I can hear you, Jim, but Larry's volume on his microphone dropped down and down and down. And
Larry, ask me the question and then I'll relay it to them.
yeah, I can't hear Larry
ask
at
him
all.
ask him to ask him to talk about, you know what this issue is. Ask him to talk about LinkedIn. Give us some
Talk about
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, Darrell.
um, Well, from a professional real estate perspective, LinkedIn is the most underutilized marketing tactic in the world. The difference between tactical marketing, strategic marketing is that tactical marketing is where you say your message. It's your website, it's your Facebook page, it's your business card. It's where you put your message. The strategic side of marketing or the marketing strategy is what you say and how you say it. So the big mistake that I see with LinkedIn and real estate professionals is, first of all, so few know how to use it to actually generate connection and engagement and leads. And it's an awesome platform to do that. But the flip side or the other side of that is that so few people, not just real estate professionals, but so few people know how to create a profile, how to create an engaging message, how to connect with their audience, a process to go through that allows you to actually connect with the kind of people that you want to connect with.
So, has my microphone come back for you guys?
I can just hear
A
you,
little,
Larry. I can
not
just
much.
hear you.
Yeah, how is it on you with you, Jim? Can you
It's fine.
Okay.
I've learned how to read lips. So I'm good.
Just for this Technic thing that I have. So,
It's
Darrell,
fine.
uh, Darrell, could you talk just a little bit about what you were talking to me last week, the real estate agent in Atlanta, how you changed her business, what types of approaches you used with using LinkedIn?
Yeah, what we did there, and one of the interesting things is that uh, when we talk to clients about who their market is, and I don't like to use the term, I don't like the term target market. It sort of dehumanizes people. What I talk about is who would you like to work with? If you could choose the kind of people that you want to work with, who would you work with? Anyway, this real estate agent down in Birmingham, um, we we worked through the process and came to the conclusion that her market was empty nesters. So these were primarily successful people. The kids have got off to college, they've got a big house, and there's an emotional challenge in leaving your home and downsizing. But there's a we have a bit of a thing going on where people are doing that because they've got the big house, and of course there's so many memories attached to the house. And what Diana had done, had developed a way in which to engage with sellers so that she could help them through that process, help them navigate what it's like and the emotional ups and downs of going through that process. So we decided to make that the kind of people that she wanted to work with. And through Sales Navigator, which is one of the add-ons to LinkedIn, it's a paid add-on, but it's an add-on that allows you to filter um, very specifically. We targeted people who've been in business for more than 20 years. We targeted people who in a particular geographical area. And then we changed the messaging on the profile and we rewrote her profile to fit with exactly what we were saying to the audience. And then we came up with a headline so that the banner is the headline for the business. Then where the title goes, we came up with what we call a sub message in there. We then rewrote the about, and the whole LinkedIn profile was designed to connect with people who had been in business over 20 years, blah, blah, that kind of thing. And we started a campaign on a daily basis, connecting with second connections. And when we started, I didn't have very many second connections, but every time you get a connection, you then have all those connections as second connections, but we only wanted people within a specific geographic area. And over a very short period of time, we built a huge audience. People responded to this and they connected. And before long, she was being invited to come and speak at events where people were, selling houses, and she was coming along and she was being invited to attend different events. And we had to shut the campaign down. She became the person that you went to, and is now owns that space.
How
And
long?
it's not.
How long was that? How long did it take her from when you started and you started? I know that there's a process that you have to go through. You have to understand what
Yeah.
you're doing. And so it probably took a third of the time to really figure out what she was actually looking for. And then you created the messaging around that and started. So
Yeah.
count that moment as the start, from the start of when she started, targeted and started, to when you had to close it down because it was too successful.
Well, I'm a great subscriber to Benjamin Franklin's axiom that if he's got 9 hours to cut down a tree, spend 8 hours sharpening the axe. So we spent, I think it was probably about, by the time we finished, it was probably 4 to 6 weeks getting the messaging right, tweaking the strategy. So the
Yep.
strategy is the key bit.
Yeah.
And then from the time we pushed the button and we were going out to, I think, something like 40 to 50 invites a day, going out to people to connect with them, it was probably only 4 to 5 months before it started to get too much and we had to shut the campaign down. So there was almost immediate traction. It took probably a week, but there was almost immediate traction. But within sort of 4 to 5 months, we had to go, whoa, let's wind this back. There's just too many people coming through. There were questions coming through. There were connections. There were a whole heap of things happening.
Well, of course they were. And your second connect, what you're talking about is making second connections, first connections, and then
Yeah,
talking to those
yeah.
first connections. So those second connections, or did you get to third connections? Because I see that there's a huge jump from second to third connections. Do you work to try and bring them in as well, or is it just second?
Now, interestingly, Larry, there's been a change. LinkedIn has changed recently, and they've brought in some restrictions around the number of invites that you can send per week, and we're now working with those. And what we've found is that you are far more likely not to go to what's called LinkedIn jail, where they actually suspend your account, if you just send invites to second connections, not third connections, or a
Uh,
few third
uh,
connections. We now spend a lot more time filtering the connections, so there's some kind of personal engagement there. You know them from somewhere, you know someone who knows them, that kind of thing. The other thing that we do that no one else in the world does is we've learned or developed a process that allows us to embed video into the connection message. So LinkedIn normally gives you 300 characters to
make
write a
the note.
message.
Yeah.
Yeah, make a note. So
Yeah.
this is why we should connect, blah, blah. And most people have got the same, message. I noticed we got same connections, blah, 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 this kind of stuff. And all the LinkedIn people around the world use the same kind of stuff. What we do is we use those 300 characters to tell the person you want to connect with why they should watch the video. And then you can have a 90-second or a 2-minute video actually explaining why you'd like to connect with them. And as a realtor, you now have an opportunity to say, hey, the reason I want to connect with you is because I work in your particular area, or this is what it is.
Yeah.
I can become your real estate person. If you want that, if you'd like to have that, someone that you can rely on, blah, 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 blah. There's a process we go through, but the video, and once again, we're the only people in the world doing this, really engages the audience. It's extraordinary. People will watch video.
Hey, let's get back to that as soon as we take our first break here. We'll be right back.
When you are searching for a new home, you want to be working with a realtor with years of experience, a professional with intimate knowledge of the communities that you are considering moving to, and someone who really wants to represent you as a buyer in what is probably the largest investment you will ever make in your lifetime. The realtors at Castles Unlimited want to be your choice when you are ready to make your next move. Please visit us at castlesunlimited.com or call us anytime at 800-967-3561. The realtors at Castles Unlimited are here to help your next purchase, lease, or sale of any real estate, the easiest decision you've ever.
And welcome back. We were just listening to Darrell Weeks from the Purple Thread talk to us about using LinkedIn, and specifically using the LinkedIn note as you connect to people with a video. Now, how do you do that, Darrell? Is that proprietary information, or can you share it here?
Well, it's not proprietary, but having said that, it took us about 6 months to figure out how to get that done and put it in there. We do that for our clients. So
Sure.
What I'd rather do is talk about the process of connecting, because whether you use video or not, we use video because it is really engaging. But whether you use video or not, the process still works.
Right.
So,
well, you were the one who started me on BombBomb. You said, and BombBomb is another one of these kind of programs that you can use to deliver a video message. And this is a kind of an offshoot of that. But I'm sure however you do it, if it's LinkedIn, then you probably have different level of analytics that you're getting.
Yeah. And BombBomb allows you to, it integrates with LinkedIn. So if you send someone a message, you can actually record a message and then send a message to someone. And the responses I get from that, are off the charts.
But that's after the second to the first connection.
Yeah. The process that we use is, first of all, we send a very targeted message to the people you want to work with. So
right.
we look at their psychographic as much as their demographic and their geographic, but we look at their psychographic. We connect with them. Once you connect with someone, the first thing that you want to do is you want to endorse them for something, or you want to like a post. You want to do something that allows you to engage with them. And then what we do is we go with another video, because one of the most powerful tools that LinkedIn has is, once you're connected with someone, you have the ability to send direct messages.
Yeah.
And you can send group direct messages to your first connections.
Yep.
So there's a school of thought. There's a number of LinkedIn people around the world that I've spoken to who are very much about posting. You got to post something every day. And I went, oh, wow, dude, this just takes forever.
Yeah.
Like there's so much time in posting and putting it out there, and takes years. And
let alone having to get something like that every day from someone. It's like, come on, not every day, please.
Yeah. So I go the other way. I think that if I've got something valuable to share, I'd like to share that with the people who took the time to connect with me.
Right.
So we send direct messages, and we get a 92 to 97% open rate on direct messages with our first connections.
Man, that is killer open.
Yeah, if you think about email, if you send an email blast to 1,000 people, how many people open that email? I get 1,000 emails a day, and my first job every morning is delete. I get rid of them all.
That's a chore. But my open rate is 37.5%. The last thing I sent out something a week. 37. I'm thrilled with that. Because from that 37%, then I can go back and talk to the 15% of the, of those people who actually said something back to me. Yeah,
but through LinkedIn, 92 to 97% open rate, particularly when we've got video in there. And short, sharp videos that get to the point. So we tend to do these in 30 to 45 seconds. And the message will say, hey, if you've got 30 seconds, have a quick look at this. Now, if you tell, and I think I've mentioned this to you before, if you look at YouTube and you'll see a video that catches your interest, you'll click on it, it'll say 15 minutes, and you go, oh, I haven't got 15 minutes. So you shut it down. But if you tell someone in the message, if you've got 30 seconds and your message is 30 seconds long, they'll go, I got 30 seconds. I'll have a look at that, click on it, watch your message. So if you can distill the core value of your message into its essence and then get that across to someone in 30 seconds, it's like an ad, a 30-second TV ad. We distill that down in short, sharp pieces of value that you deliver. Whatever it is, maybe it's a new house you've got listed. Maybe there's a development going on somewhere. Maybe there's been some changes to local regulations. Maybe something's happening in the local market.
Right.
Now, that's the kind of stuff you can send directly to your first connections.
So Darrell, that broker in Atlanta, can you walk us through the entire, was there a specific message? I mean, the demographic was empty nesters. So what did the message say? And what was the goal? Was it to get listings, or tell us what happened there?
This is a listing agent, and listings were quite tight down there. So the first thing we did, we spent a fair bit of time doing the research, and Donna told me that one of the key things for the empty nesters is that you can't hang around too long. You've actually got to shift the property. Now, that tends to be a blinding flash of the obvious. Most people want to sell their property as quickly as possible for the most amount of money. That's the two drivers in most instances. But it becomes doubly important for empty nesters because there's such a connection to the property. So we did an analysis and found that her average time on market was 35 days. So we came up with a guarantee that said, I'll sell your home in 39 days or less for its assessed price or more, or you don't pay any fees. I'll sell it for free. I think we actually said that's the message we came up with, which was designed to connect with the empty nesters. And then we wrote a whole, the about section was connecting with empty nesters. Now, one of the first questions she asked me is, what happens if it takes 40 days? And I said, well, if it takes 40 days, you sell the house for nothing, and then you take out a front page ad with you standing with the vendors saying, I sold their house for free, contact me and find out how we did it. So it becomes a huge marketing opportunity for you. So that was the key message we had in the banner. And if you look at most banners on LinkedIn, most people have got nice pictures, or they've got that aquamarine standard background, or they've got something that just doesn't, it's a picture, it doesn't connect with the audience. You need something that within seconds tells people exactly what you do. Now, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, the banner up the top literally says, every client you could ever want is on LinkedIn. Let us introduce you. So within half a second, you go, I know what this guy does. This guy does LinkedIn stuff. I get it, And then underneath that, our sub-headline basically says we develop the most authentic, engaging, and effective LinkedIn campaigns on the planet, guaranteed. And we give our clients a guarantee.
Darrell, have you done any programs for recruitment?
Yes.
For brokers?
Yeah, not for brokers, not specifically, but I have run a number of recruitment campaigns. One in particular, we work with a firm of surveyors in New Zealand. And New Zealand, the New Zealand employment market is really tight. It's really hard to get people over there. So we're currently in the process of running this this campaign. And part of the campaign is direct messaging to first connections, saying, hey, we've got these positions available. If you know someone, and we're getting engagement. People are saying, yeah, hang on a second, I've mentioned this to someone, and the managing director is getting calls from people because we put the managing director out there and said, call me personally and I'll talk to you. And so we're getting this, it's like, hang on, because you know me, you can contact me personally. And if you refer someone to me, I'll talk to them. No one wants to talk to the general manager. They want to talk to the guy in charge. They want to talk to the managing director. So Brent is now the guy that we put up front. And it's working particularly well.
Huh. Let's hear more about that when we come back. We'll be back in a moment. And we came back from that Savage Wiener, which we watched and enjoyed ourselves. We're looking forward to having our first hot dog of the summer season. Um, Back to connecting with people. Let's step back for a moment, Darrell, because you are someone who has taught a variety of methods over the years on how
Yeah,
to get your business, how to grow your business, and
yeah.
not just real estate, but others. Isn't it like, let's distill it down to its smallest parts and saying, isn't it about connecting with somebody in a human way, in some manner, finding out what they need and offering that to them in not a salesy way?
Fundamentally, yes, that's exactly what it is. The biggest challenge there that I see is for people to figure out what the value is. How do I articulate the value that I deliver without it sounding salesy? How do I do that? And it's counterintuitive. And I'm a great believer in a couple of things. One is authenticity. Um, Today we respond to things that are authentic. And now, having said that, you've only got to look at reality TV and the audiences they get to see that there are so many people who respond to the artificial and created environment. But at a human level, we respond to authenticity. Be yourself at the end of the day. That's the first thing. The second thing I subscribe to is the counterintuitive approach. And the counterintuitive approach basically says that if something's intuitive, everybody's doing it. If everybody's doing it, it's not unique.
Right.
So a perfect example of that is if someone hurts us, the intuitive thing to do is hurt them back. Well, the counterintuitive thing to do is forgive them and move away. Because as human beings, we struggle with that. Now, in marketing, you've got to remember that marketing is about having a conversation with someone who has a problem they don't want or wants something they don't have. That's the fundamental. So it's a conversation. So how do we have an authentic, counterintuitive conversation? The counterintuitive bit comes in. How do we market without trying to sell someone? We've got
Right.
we have to reveal the value that we bring, particularly in professional services. So if you think about lawyers, accountants, real estate professionals, mortgage brokers, so forth and so on. How
Well,
do we engage on that level, on the value level, without sounding salesy at the end of the day?
right, right. And it's also what you're talking about as objection handling. Because when someone says no, your thing is, well, like you're talking to a for sale by owner and they immediately say, well, I know more than you. Selling a house is an easy thing to do. And you immediately say, no, Jane, you ignorant slut. No, that's not true. Um, do you remember that from Saturday Night Live, by the way? Uh, for those of you who don't, I
Wow.
wasn't actually calling Darrell. I don't know him that well. Um, but the real point here is when someone says something to you that you don't react in the first way, you're trying to understand why they're reacting in the way that they're reacting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And once again, back to the counterintuitive approach when we talk about that. Um, in in if you do it right, and this is where it takes a lot of work. If you do it right, the decision to engage you as a real estate professional becomes a natural extension of the conversation.
Right.
So I only have one close in my, and I hate to call it a close, but if you can demonstrate the value that you can bring to someone in regard to any transaction or any relationship, the one question I have at the end of that, particularly if you demonstrate enough value, is would you like me to help you with that?
Yeah.
So if you think about real estate, that's the only question you need to
Yeah.
ask is
Yeah.
would you like me to help you with that? There's no Benjamin Franklin close or the alternative close. That is so 1950s, dude. Like we're still teaching 1950s tactics. Now, yeah, it'll work on some people, but ultimately what we find is that there's a level of resentment when people feel as though they've been manipulated. And
Right.
when you talk about sales, people go, oh, that's about manipulating people. No, it's not. It's about establishing a common ground where you can add value and help them get what they want. I think it was Jim Rohn who said it best. He said, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll end up getting what you want. And that's the counterintuitive bit because everybody wants to sell you something. And it's interesting. I read the other day that everybody hates marketing until they want to sell their car. Then it becomes like, hang on, why are people not calling me about my car?
Right.
Darrell, so your system, is this a very labor-intensive manual system, or is this an automated approach?
We don't use any automation because that would be against LinkedIn's terms and conditions. What we
So
find
to
Until you
reach
get
out to 1,000
yeah,
first level people, you have to
yeah.
do
So
1,000 manual
yeah, we
emails.
do that.
Basically.
We do it very, very cost effectively, because to do it yourself, you know, if you're a real estate professional, you want to focus on being a real estate professional. So
Right.
if you can have someone else do the hard yards to create the engagement, what you want is the engagement. It's the hard yards that is the challenge. So
So as a real estate agent, I give you access to my account.
Yeah.
And you probably have people that are doing 10 cents a message, or well, what do you charge a message per message?
Well, funnily enough, Jim, we don't outsource overseas. We have our people here in Australia, so we control everything. So everyone's account is completely secure in the first instance. Depending on the campaign we run, it depends on how much we charge, but we only charge per connection or per message that we send. So if the campaign fails and doesn't connect with anyone, then you don't pay anything. So we de-risk the campaigns. There's work in doing the initial strategy work, but depending on the campaign and the size and how many you want, the price goes down. There's a scale that we use,
right.
But it's not prohibitive when you think about the level of engagement and how much a sale or a listing
results.
and the results is actually worth.
Yeah.
So is there any reason why anybody in sales should not call you?
No, unless you want to do it yourself. Unless you've got budget restrictions, you can get a free LinkedIn profile.
Well, you said it's if it's not successful, you don't get paid. I mean, that's like a guarantee.
Yeah, basically. So there's no reason, unless at the start you simply don't have the money to invest.
Do the startup
on a success basis. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if everyone is in Australia who's working for you, does that mean my potential clients will be getting LinkedIn messages at 3 o'clock in the morning?
No, we send the messages based on your time zone, and we tend to set them between 7 a.m. in the morning and 7 p.m. in the evening. But we can send them to your time frame. So you want to send X amount of messages at this time frame. We do it based on what the client wants. It's not what we want. We simply facilitate the ability to connect with the people that you want to connect with at the end of the day, and help you figure out who that is. So many realtors I've spoken to, you say, who's your market? And they go, everybody. And you go, well, that's just not true. Everyone's not your market. We've got to figure out what that is. And that's tough work. And the reason that this works is so many people don't do that because it is tough work.
But it does take being in the business sometimes a long time before you really know who your people are.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
And one of the points I want to make here, Jim, is that when you create a LinkedIn connection, it's marketing 101 is create a database that you can market to. Yeah. So LinkedIn is the greatest open source database in the world. Step one. So let's create a database. That database has enormous length. It's not just today you've connected with someone. You're now connected with that person over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 X number of years. So it's
unfortunately for someone like me, the people I really do business with, the people that actually I make money with, they probably don't use LinkedIn.
But Jim, you're an anomaly here. Let me stop.
Not really.
You're an anomaly.
I mean, there's a lot of real estate agents.
Let me finish. You're an anomaly because you've been 35 years in the business, successfully doing it. You have honed who you work with down to like handfuls. We're not talking about somebody who's been in the business 35 years. We're talking about people who are starting their business.
I'm saying any agent that does business with new construction, luxury builders, most of them are not on LinkedIn.
You talk about the agents, or you talk about their potential clients?
The builders.
I'm talking about the actual builders.
And the investors, the builders.
The builders.
Now, Jim, I will challenge you a little bit on that, and I'll give you a little story to highlight that. I was working with a group of business coaches in New Zealand, and there's a guy who works on the South Island, which is the most, least populated island. And he insisted on only working with people in his local area. And he said on this call, and I've got 18 business coaches on this call, and he says, no one where I live is on LinkedIn. No one.
No one.
And you go, okay. So I did a live search using Sales Navigator. There were 10,000 people in his local area and he went, I know some of these people. And I went, I know, because here's an astonishing statistic. In the US, have a go at this. In the US, there are 150 million people on LinkedIn. 150 million. The realtor down in Alabama that we did the search for, we found 65,000 people who fit the criteria that we were looking for.
Was it Alabama or Atlanta?
Atlanta. It was Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, that's Alabama. Okay.
Yeah, Birmingham. So
I made the mistake early.
Literally
well,
half
if
the
it
population.
works in Alabama, it'll work anywhere. There's a bumper sticker that actually says that.
Now that number, about 150 million Americans being on LinkedIn, if you look at the UK, literally half their population is on LinkedIn. New Zealand, Australia, half the population. There's 750 million people on LinkedIn. That's 750 million people around the world are on LinkedIn.
Yeah, but here's the problem with that number. I have 2 LinkedIn accounts.
Yeah.
So that might be, it could be, and I know people that are dead that are on LinkedIn. So,
a more relevant number.
Those accounts don't automatically get pulled when you die.
I understand.
Yeah.
A more relevant number is 310 million people.
I'll give you some of my my shekels and see where it goes.
All right. So, but a more relevant number there, Jim, is 310 million people are active at least once a month.
Yeah.
That's a more relevant number.
Yeah.
And the most relevant number is less than 1% of those people know how to use LinkedIn properly.
Right.
Well,
right.
We'll talk. Larry has a bus to catch, so we're going to wrap this up.
I got to get the baby a new pair of shoes. So, Darrell, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I know after the first time you were on the show, I went and changed my LinkedIn profile and said, tell a better story, get a better result. And I've because of your suggestion and me thinking about that, that's been helpful for me. So hopefully you'll come back and share some more thoughts with us again soon.
Love talking to you guys anytime. No problem
Thanks,
at all.
Darrell. It was a pleasure.
And
Thanks,
good seeing you again.
And getting up so damn early to talk to us.
That's all right. I'm up early.
Appreciate it. Watch out for the Black Widow.
Thanks for staying for another episode of Broker Talk. Join us next week when we have another fascinating guest. See you soon.
I don't know